Good evening. It is the 17th of September 2022, and I'm just putting together a bit of a rambling message for Peter Bourne down in Brighton. I've just come down to look at some of my elm trees this evening. I've had a bit of a tidying up session this last week or two. There's a Laevis, you can see. This one here is a Wingham. It's getting quite late tonight, but I think you can see okay in this light, and something's been eating the leaves here, which is fine because that's what we plant trees for. And I think the culprits came out of there, I would have thought. A moth, no doubt, would have had its nest there, and the caterpillars would have eaten the leaves. Now this next one here, growing out sideways, that is seed from the tree up at Leadenham, which is a Sapora autumn gold. Big leaves, and as you know, that's a cross between Ulmus japonica and Ulmus pumila, and it's growing well. Now then, let's have a look and see what we've got out here. Yes, and all these trees were being planted 3-4 years ago, and they're all doing well. This big one here, quite stately and upright, you can see to the right of this picture, is a regal, and there's several of those in the old London Road in Newark, and I took some cuttings off those. This one is a Bergmaniana, if I've pronounced it right. That came from Matthew Ellis, very kind donation from him, thank you. It does look like a chamui, but I'm sure it's not. Now this one is a chamui. Here we are. Am I too close? I don't know, it's difficult to get these in. There's a chamui. I've got no end of those all over the place. You can see there's numbers on here, but they all get washed off over the year, and it's a heck of a job to put all the names and numbers back on again. So what I have done is, ever so often, I've done this. That one is a Quercus ilex from Fallbeck Hall. And when I go to my map in the office, all I need to do is pick out the non-elm trees, and then I can soon work out what are the ones next door to it. And all of these trees over here, and you can see there's loads of them, most of these are ones which I thought probably will not survive. The suckers from surviving trees in Lincolnshire, a lot of them are seeds grown from the autumn gold, and they will probably survive. They're in the distance. There's a Carragach, but it's right across the far side, but they've all survived really well. They never dackered down at all during this hot summer that we've had. I do try and keep the vegetation down round the roots fairly well, so that helps. In here I've actually planted scattered seed on all around here, and that's come well. The grass seed is much smaller, and I've cut this down recently, and you'll see there's loads of clover in here dotted about. That I'm sure is fumitory. There's docks, which will always be with us. There's some more fumitory, and the beautiful thing about the fumitory is that when you cut it with a mower, it smells delicious. Right, back to elm trees. This is probably my favourite one. It's a Lutec, and I do like this. There's a little bit of black leaf there, shriveled up, and it's starting to look a bit ragged because we're not far off October. Oh, sorry, I didn't get that in focus. Here we are. You can probably see it now. They are so rough. They remind me so much of Ulmus minor, the field elm, as you know. Now, what have we got down here? There's other trees down here, which I don't think this one... Oh, just walking around it. Well, there's some aid moose over here, I know. This one is a Fioronte, because it says so on the tube. When it's backlit, it's difficult to see, isn't it? Perhaps I haven't chosen the best night to do this. Let's see what this one is. That is, again, is a Leadenham elm, which has been eaten off. That one over there is a Laevis. I've got no end of those, and they're growing really well. Let's move on to these other ones over here. This one is number 45 in my records, and that's another Lutec. I really like these. Gosh, if I had a forest of those, I'd be really pleased. I'm moving on over here. I know there's 2 or 3 Admus. There is some, just look at all these wild flowers. They do so well here. And this will be a mass of flowers again next year. And most of these trees down here, I planted quite a few of them last November. And so they hadn't really got a chance to put the roots down very far for this year. So I did an emergency watering with the Bowser and collect 1,500 litres out the farm pond, and came and watered them all, and they all responded so well. I think that was about the middle to the end of June, and they've never looked back. Unfortunately, I haven't lost a single tree this year. There's another Chamui. There's a couple of Toledos here, I know, and I'm so pleased I haven't lost any this year. They've all survived. The one thing I want to show you while I'm down here, this is another planting I put in 15 years ago, mainly ash behind here. Oh, and they've all got blooming dieback. But look at these. You think they're apples, they may be pears, but you'd be wrong. These are all quinces. There's no end of quince this year, and I don't know if you've ever eaten membrillo, Spanish delicacy. Look at these, check out these bad boys. They are huge, and there's going to be no end of them. They're not ripe yet, there'll be a while before they ripen, maybe another month. And the last one I'm going to show you is the usual quince trees that most people have, is this one, and I forget its name now, but there's no end of quinces on that as well. Oh, anyway, there you are, Peter. That was a quick tour around of some of the elms. All the best, you take care. Bye for now.